Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're going to be checking out the update. We got a new update dropping next Monday, last week of August. A lot to cover here. Before we jump into it, the hunt for 20k subscribers does continue. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. It just makes all the future content easier to find. Once we hit that 20k, we're going to be starting to give away some premium ships, so stay tuned. First off, Soviet campaign, Tier 7 premium cruiser Peter Bagration. Now, we already had a previous Peter in the game, Tier 4 battleship. This one, Tier 7 cruiser, presumably much larger of a Peter, being 3 tiers higher than the Tier 4. It says this warship, based on a project of a heavy Red Navy cruiser, is quite a formidable threat. Boasts 9 7-inch guns, those are 180 millimeters, and a decent AA suite. Improved with experience of naval battles of WW2 in mind. With maximum speed capped at 34.5 knots, there's a lot of flexibility in your positioning. Let's see, it says the Peter provides an interesting way to fill different battlefield holes. Different battlefield roles. Try it yourself and see. So that sounds fairly interesting there. Big Peter coming in at Tier 7. Transformers return. We got new Transformer commanders. And each commander has a coinciding skin for a particular ship. Grimlock. This scary looking dino bot is all about improving your battleship's secondary caliber guns. And eating enemies, of course, it says. Skin for the French battleship Richelieu. Hot Rod. Skin for the British cruiser Edinburgh. Improve radar. Make spotting you from planes more difficult. Hunt aircraft. Easy, it says. Soundwave. Skin for the Italian cruiser Amalfi. Better maneuverability and better smoke screens. Great choice for Italian cruisers. Starscream. Skin for German aircraft carrier August von Percival. Faster aircraft with bigger health pool. What more can you ask for from a carrier commander? Okay, interesting. So those ones look pretty good. Not a lot of specifics, but we'll check them out. And it says you'll also be able to acquire any of the previous Transformers. So you got Megatron. That one increases battleship range for the inspiration. Optimus Prime. Megatron's German battleship commander, I believe. Optimus Prime, American battleship commander. Something to do with the repair party for the inspiration. Increases the health regenerated, the time. I don't know what it is. Never tried Optimus Prime. Bumblebee, American Destroyer commander, I believe, affects the engine boost. Again, not a commander I've dabbled with. Rumble, haven't actually played him yet, but he is slotted to potentially take over a Russian destroyer slot. And stay tuned for that. We may be talking more Russian destroyers here in a moment. Rumble's base trait increases the destroyer main gun battery range. So that one's decent. So you can get those. I don't know if they're going to be in crates or if you can buy them individually. I don't know. Hopefully you can buy them individually, but we'll find out there. Alternative Soviet destroyers in early access. Early access, if you don't know what this means, you get opportunities to get crates, Soviet destroyer crates. If you buy the campaign, you'll get a bunch from there. Daily missions will probably have them. And then within these crates, you got a chance to get the Tier 4, Tier 5, Tier 6 destroyers here. If you get them, you keep them. Any upgrades you got, any experience, that all stays on there. So that's how early access works. Tier 4, Subraz It Eleni. I think it's called the Sub. It says it's Russian for sharp. So if you're trying to learn Russian, Sub is how you would say sharp. That's a Tier 4. The Bovoy. Oh boy, the Bovoy. I like that one. The Russian for pugnacious. The Bovoy. Tier 5, and then the Kiev. Doesn't say what Kiev means in Russian. That's the Tier 6. So, interesting there. I actually don't know anything about those. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of deep dive on the research. We'll get back to you on those. Maybe do a preview video or something. If it says luck is not your signature trait, they'll be researchable as soon as the next update. With Udaloy capping off the branch at Tier 7. So, they're kind of suggesting my advice would coincide with that suggestion. If you don't get these ships in the crates that you're going to unlock naturally, save the doubloons for a better use. You know, I'll put the link to the early, or what is it called? The Enhanced Firepower Edition or something along those lines. The best use of your money in this game, if you want to spend any money, usually they go for about $20. You get, I think, like 4 premium ships and a bunch of other stuff. I'll put the link to that in the description. You can spend your money on that. Save the money for that and don't spend it on early access crates. That's my advice. Anyways, early arena battles 5, 6, and 7 seasons. Arms race mechanics back. Battle with tier 5, tier 6, tier 7 ships. That could be interesting. Arena is always a good time. Hopefully we can get into some nice fights there. So that'll be interesting. The higher tier ships. A new big crate. It says new season, new crate. This time the big one, I guess the big one's the name of the crate, lets you obtain London, West Virginia, and Biscuit, aka the Błyskowicka, Polish destroyer. Only way, well, you can get the Polish commander or the European commander, Jerzy Swirsky, in the Biscuit, which is one of those 3 ships, or in the Orkan, another tier 6 European ship. We're actually going to be talking about Swirsky here in a little bit, so stay tuned for that. Balance changes. It says we're bringing a lot of balance changes, and that's no doubt about it. The big part of this update is balance changes, so strap yourself in. Tier 7 Cleveland. Main battery reload increased from 6.5 to 7, and 6 to 6.5 after you upgrade it. So half-second nerf to the Cleveland's offensive production. I don't think too many people can argue that's not a fair trade at this point in time. Legendary tier Alaska Cruiser. Radius of max dispersion of main guns decreased by 10%. Oh boy, look out. Penetration of AP shells increased by 5%. Holy God. Repair party reload time decreased from 60 to 50 seconds. HP per second regen increased by 33%. Alaska, maybe not the easiest ship to play, but man, it's a dangerous ship as is, and now it's getting an accuracy buff up the wazoo and a pen buff. Look out, these guns are dangerous. That ship is going to be nasty. That was kind of the one downside of that ship, was you got the radar, but when you're getting those destroyers located, you can't necessarily hit them that well. So we're going to see how that works with that accuracy boost, but man alive, that could be a dangerous ship. Tier 6 Nagato, the oft-reviled Nagato. Maximum speed increased to 26 knots from 22.3. The rudder shift time decreased for both hulls, going from 14.4 upgraded to 12.9 on the second hull. That is, so about a 1.5 reduction on the rudder shift, about a 23.7 knot increase in speed. Huge boost to the mobility. Shell grouping increased by 2.5%. Nagato, look out, your time has come. Tier 7 Kagero. Reload time of torpedo tubes decreased from 101 to 91 seconds. So 10 seconds shaved off Kagero's reload time. Legendary tier Yamato. Shell grouping decreased by 5%. Decrease to the accuracy. Rotation speed of main guns decreased from 4.5 to 4 degrees per second. Great changes there. I thought the traverse should be way slower than what it is, but even 4 seconds will be better than 4.5. And the grouping, the accuracy going down. So still going to be a dangerous ship, but my God. Let's take the foot off the gas there a little bit, Yamato. Looks like they're going to do that with this update. Vanguard, Tier 7, UK battleship. Shell grouping increased by 2.5%. Radius of max dispersion for main guns decreased by 10%. Rudder shift time decreased on the upgraded hull from 18.1 to 13.4. That is a boost to the Vanguard, which could definitely use it. Tier 7 German battleship Tirpitz. Shell grouping increased by 6%. Torpedo tubes armor against HE shells increased. So mainly a accuracy boost there, a little bit more protection for your torps. Tier 7 Bismarck. Shell grouping increased by 5%. Now these are just saying shell grouping, by the way, for the Tirpitz and the Bismarck and the Vanguard. I thought earlier it said something about main guns when we're talking about Alaska. Main battery reload time on Cleveland. So I'm not 100% sure if these shell grouping ones are just primary guns. That would be my assumption. But it's possible the secondaries are affected. I don't know about that. I would not bet money. Possible. Tier 7 French battleship Champagne. Check this out. Max range of main guns increased from 17.48 kilometers to 17.78. Bit of a range boost. Shell grouping increased by 5%. Reload time of main guns, again, mentioned the main gun specifically, decreased by 28. Decreased from 28.6 to 26.6 seconds. Main battery reload boost, range boost, accuracy boost, repair party HP per second regen increased by 33%. Massive boost for the Champagne. I played this thing maybe 20 times. I don't know if I've won a game in it. I don't think I have. I want to love the ship. It's a great set of guns, but you cannot win games on the moon, and you got to be on the moon in the Champagne. So we'll see how the lunar rover fares after this update. Tier 7 Gascon, French battleship, premium repair party HP per second regen increased by 33%. So not a huge boost there, but a Gascon getting a little bit of love. For the USSR, Tier 5 Gniewy. Rotation speed of main guns increased from 6 degrees to 7 degrees per second. Armor against HE shells for steering gears and engine increased as well. Tier 7 Tashkent. Repair party added to the slot with smoke generator as a consumable of choice. Possible to slap a heel on the Tashkent now. We got to think about that one. You guys let me know in the comments. That sounds interesting. Lione. Tier 5 Italian destroyer exhaust smoke generator added to the slot with smoke generator as a consumable of choice. Other changes. Exhaust smoke generator duration increased from 17 to 20 for all Italian cruisers equipped with it. Montecacholo, Trento, Zara, Amalfi, along with its dispersion time being increased from 30 to 35. So boost to the smoke generator exhaust smoker consumable. At the same time, secondary gun aiming priorities were changed. Take note of this. Now, enemy destroyers are more likely to be chosen as a target in case there are 2 or more options for the attacks. Priority, if feasible. Priority targeting on enemy destroyers for your secondaries. A lot of people ask for that. Interesting. The waters become even more dangerous. First, they roll back the concealment. Now, they're going to get targeted more by secondaries. Skill changes. These are commander skills. Now, they're going to list the skill names, and I'm going to read them off, but I don't know most of the skill names, so I put little notes here, at least where they are in the build, so if you're like me, that's how I reference them. Buffs. Before it's too late, and this is a slot 2 perk on defensive cruisers, so you'd have it on like Makawa, Rue, something like that. Bonus to torpedo detection increased. Top level, 10% goes to 15%, so a big boost there. Flank speed. This is a slot 2 dispersion DD build, so I know Vian, probably, I don't know, some of the Russian guys, you know the drill. Gurin is the Russian guy, and then I don't know who the other one is. One of the French guys. I think the one I use, Violet. That's on there. Penalty to rudder shift time changed from 3% instead of 5%. So that one, I think it boosts the speed, but it slowed the rudder shift time. So a little bit less of a penalty there. Marksmanship, slot 3 offensive battleship commander builds would have this. This is the dispersion perk. A lot of you guys probably use this on most, if not all, battleship builds. Penalty to rudder shift time on level 4 changed from 10% additional to 5% added. So that's the one. If you reduce the dispersion, which is great, you do get a penalty to the rudder shift time. That's halved. So that's great there. A little bit more survivability for those accuracy builds. Mortar, this one you'd find on slot 2 gunboats like Trubetskoy, I think, has this option where I think it adds damage, but it increases your detection rate. The penalty to that, to the visibility, that goes way down. It's at 4% at every level now instead of a 5 to 10% range previously. So that's more of a viable perk now. Velocious, this is a slot 3 defensive cruiser commander build like Makawa Rue once again. Boost the speed. I think I use this on a lot of my builds. You get a 4% speed boost. Now it's a 5%. Not a speed boost, but a 4% boost to your speed. Now that's 5%. Evil Sparks, legendary skill on destroyers. This is one where I believe it increases your HE shell's pen, but reduces the damage dramatically. And currently it was 55 to 40% range based on your level. Now that penalty 35% to 20. So you still get a nice boost to the pen, The damage, if you can get it maxed, it's only a negative 20%, more usable. But keep in mind, maxing legendary perks, that's a huge investment in terms of your resources. It's going to take a long time just for a perk that would only affect this particular ship. It's not an inspiration. I'd never like to use this because on a destroyer v destroyer fight, usually you don't need more pen. But if you're lowering your damage, you're lowering your chances. So I've never previously used that. Maybe it's more viable now. I'd have to think about it. Running with scissors, it's a legendary skill you'd see on battleships. There's a penalty to the dispersion. I believe it increases your rudder shift and maybe torp detection. Like, it's a pretty decent perk, but it's got a big hit to your dispersion, which for battleships I'm not necessarily keen to do. I like my shots as tight as possible, but that's going down from 10% to 6%, or 7% to 5% on level 3, and 10% to 6% on level 4. So more of an improvement there. Still a huge trade-off. Some nerfs here, and this is going to primarily affect destroyers, a lot of this coming up. So those of you that are kind of anti-destroyer or down on destroyers a little bit, your ears should be perking up here. You're going to enjoy this. Fragile Threat, this is a slot 2 perk on destroyers. It's the one that's the trade-off. You got on your slot 2 on the builds that have this particular perk. On the left-hand side, you have just the base boost to your ship's concealment. Here you get a bigger boost, but there's some sort of penalty. I think it's the main gun dispersion, something along those lines. So some builds that was more focused torpedo builds, for instance, that would be a fair trade-off, but more balanced builds, probably not as good of a trade-off. But those bonuses to the destroyer's concealment are decreased, and the top level goes from negative 10% concealment to negative 8. So 20% reduction there at the top level. Ingenious, a perk that I've talked about and a lot over the years. Gun rotation speed reduced for negative 2 degrees per second on every level. So slowing the boost to the traverse, which weakens the value of that perk. We're going to have to evaluate it. I'm assuming it's still going to be quite strong. Of course, it tells you when you're being targeted, which is great, and then it's still going to have a boost to the turret traverse, but we're going to have to see how big of a hit that is. So that could be significant. Hide and Seek, this is Jersey Swirsky's base trade. Bonus to ship's concealment is decreased on every level. At the maximum bonus being negative 4% to your concealment instead of negative 5. So there's a reduction, again, 20%. Likewise with Bay, bonus to destroyer's concealment is decreased on every level. Maximum bonus is now negative 5 instead of negative 6. So double concealment builds get a double hit to it. That's a Swirsky / Bay destroyer build. To get both concealment perks, that takes 2 hits. Just using Bay, you're not getting as much concealment. And that possibility of using the Fragile Threat in slot 2, less attractive now. So visibility of destroyers is going up. We know that much. Oklahoma project going away. You got to pay attention to this. If you haven't started the Oklahoma project yet, next time you fire up the game, go to the bureau, select the Oklahoma project, turn it on for 5-10 seconds, get about 20 points on there. Then turn on whatever project you had going before. You won't lose any progress there, but you need some points in this. If you don't have any points in the Oklahoma project, by the time this update cycle is over, presumably in 5 weeks, you can no longer research the Oklahoma, which is a fun tier 4 battleship. You get skins along the way. I would definitely recommend going for the project, but if you don't want to do it now, start it. Just get some points on there. You'll be able to do it whenever you want in the future, as long as you got some stuff on there. Some research points. Premium ships in this update. Tier 5 Japanese aircraft carrier Zuiho, available for doubloons. First premium carrier in Legends with excellent concealment for the aircraft. Make sure to try her out. Look out. Tier 6 American destroyer, the Charles F. Hughes. We call him Charlie Hughes around these parts. Available for doubloons. Further extends the range of red, white, and blue destroyers, providing a lot of torpedoes to launch at your foes. Presumably a more torpedo-focused American destroyer. We'll check out the Chuck Hughes. Legendary tier Soviet cruiser Stalingrad for 2 million global XP. We realize this is a very unusual way to deliver a legendary tier ship, but we also felt it's time to try something new. While only a handful of players will be able to get it right away, we know a lot among you have had multiple global XP ships, so while it's going to be a long-term goal, not beyond the horizon. I'd agree with that. I mean, it's going to definitely take a long time, but I've had more than that over the years, so it's definitely a long-term player type of a reward, though. 2 million green XP, that's going to take a long time. But let's see. When it comes to what type of ship this is, think huge cruiser with 12-inch guns, 305 millimeters, so I think that's the same as Alaska, offering excellent performance with AP shells, serious HP pool, and quite a bit of speed, and choice between defensive AA fire and radar to boot. It says Stalingrad's not a premium ship, which will subject it to potential balance changes in the future. Just keep that in mind before you spend your green XP. Potentially, you could get changed in the future. Very interesting there. Regretting free XP in my way up through 3 carrier lines when we could have the Stalingrad in exchange, but nonetheless, we will try and get that. I'm assuming they'll at least let me and the CCs test it out, so we'll take a look at the Stalingrad, but that should be interesting there. So quite the update there. I do want to hear what you guys are thinking, because part of the reason I make these videos so I can get your guys' feedback. I like to listen to it carefully and then kind of plan my next update cycle in terms of content around that. So let me know in the comments what you think here. I think there's a lot of good stuff. The balance changes could be quite dramatic. We'll see how that pans out there. Once again, if you're new to the channel, if you do consider subscribing, I would definitely appreciate it. That's going to do it though, guys. So we're going to see y'all later. Peace.